You are listening to the Digital Parent Podcast with your host, Ced Lewis.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Digital Parent Podcast. On this episode, we talk about back to school stress and anxiety, not just for our children, but also for us. You know, we got to get ready for school, buying school clothes, new teachers, kids having new peers. So on this episode, I wanted to talk with my good friend, Annie Fox, who is the parenting expert. And we talk about this back to school stress with kids and also us as parents. But we also talk about building momentum based upon what was successful last year. You know, we all had great school years last year with our kids. How do we build upon that going into the next school year? So I hope you really get a lot out of this podcast, and we go through it from A to Z, how you can really build upon that momentum to ensure that your child's going to have another successful school year. So let's get right into this episode with Annie. Hey, Annie, welcome back to the Digital Parent Podcast. We're so happy to have you back on our show. We know that school is starting back, and what a great time to have you to be back on this podcast, Annie.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm always happy to talk to you, Ced.
Now, we know that, you know, there's a lot of stress with school starting back, and, you know, parents have been out for the summer. A lot of kids been on summer vacation. And, you know, there have been a lot of success that happened last year. You know, kids got their awards on stage for maybe merit or maybe other things in the school system. How can they really translate that success from last year to this school year? Because I have like a lot of educator friends, and the thing they always tell me, there's always losses like during the summertime. So as a parent getting ready to go back, how do they keep the momentum going over the summertime?
Wow, well, that's a great question. To keep the momentum going, you let your kids' interests lead the way. You know, they talk about the summer slump and the things that kids kind of fall backwards on in the areas of reading and math. Reading is wonderful, and to continue those visits to the public library, to continue doing those kinds of family activities that get kids intellectually and creatively engaged in the process of learning. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to sit your kid down with homework. And I use that word kind of in quotes. It's like, oh, let's take out your old math book from last year and make sure, you know, you can review all these facts. That's just boring. Summer should be a time of fun, but it should also be a time when kids are planning for becoming lifelong learners. And that means that you as parents need to be excited and interested in learning along with your kids. Lots of outdoor activities, community things going on during the summer, and lots of community resources to take advantage of.
So for those parents, you know, that may be going back to work, and, you know, the work schedule is getting really busy. You know, summertime, a lot of parents take a lot of vacation time, so they have that time to kind of spend with their kids. Is there a concern that, like, when we get back into that rat race as parents of working and traveling, that, you know, we kind of contribute to some of that loss of the momentum because we may not have that same time we had during the summertime to kind of, like, you know, feed into or pour in to our kids' education?
Yeah, it's really true. And we all kind of get stressed when we're back in the rat race, as you put it. And I hope that the parents have found time during the summer to kind of abandon the schedule as much as they can, possibly, because we all need downtime. Probably the biggest thing that stresses all of us is being at the effect of the schedule with a capital S. And summer may be one of the few times during the year that we can let things go a little bit. But I think you're absolutely right. When that schedule comes up again and parents have to go back to work and spend less time with their children, I think it's really important to keep the contact going, which means that, you know, if your kid is in childcare for most of the day while you're at work, there's absolutely no reason why you can't use your reconvening time over dinner to check in with your kid and, you know, find out what you do on your own today. You know, how did you move your own lifelong learning goal forward today? And that way, and it works too in the way that parents should be less of a manager during as their kids grow up and more of a consultant. So as a consultant or a coach, you're checking in with your kid as your time with them becomes less and less when the schedule calls. And so when your kid gets used to that fact that, mom or dad is going to ask me over dinner, what did I do today? What did I learn today? That kind of primes the kid to looking for things during the day when they've got less parental supervision, because they want to make that report at the end of the day.
Oh, that's such a great point, Annie, because I can see that with my kids. When you have that expectation of, what did you do today or what happened during your day, then your kids look for those nuggets throughout the school day. And when something positive happens, that goes to the reporting. Hey, guess what happened in my classroom? Guess what happened with my teacher? Guess what didn't happen with my teacher? They're already trained to tell you, what goes on from day to day.
Exactly. And you better be really tuned in when you get that report. Otherwise, the message you send is, I'm giving this report, but nobody's listening. So you want to make sure that you're just like totally there, put your own digital devices away and be there for the report and ask follow-up questions and give your kid the message that you are really interested in what happens.
Yes, if you're sitting there on your Wi-Fi devices, that's not a good look. And I advocate for people to crate their phones. And we had the wonderful people from Crate Your Phone on our earlier podcast episode where they created a box that you can put your phones in. Those types of interventions are very helpful to keep you distraction free as a parent, so you can really listen and be in tune to those stories.
I love it. Great.
So one of the things I want to quickly talk about is the kids. So, we talked about, this whole transition from like grade to grade. So maybe we have a kid that's going from maybe elementary school to middle school or middle school to high school. They've had a lot of success. They've been, rewarded. They've got a lot of praise from their previous teachers. How do we help them with their anxiety of going into like a new environment with new teachers?
New teachers and new students. Often, a lot of elementary schools are feeder schools into one larger middle school. And first of all, middle school, we all know, is fraught with mythology. It's like, middle school. Parents feel it too. Oh no, my kid is going to middle school.
Right.
There's some truth about the fears because as a parent, you're going to have probably less contact with the parents of your kids' friends than you did in the elementary school, where you might have been, you might have known these parents from kindergarten through fifth grade, and you met up, while you were waiting for your kids to pick them up. You met them at back to school nights and on the playing fields. But there's going to be a whole bunch of new parents and a whole bunch of new kids. And because your kids are getting older, they're going to require more distance from you as they make their own way socially. And that's absolutely appropriate that you should step back. But I think that what makes things less scary and stressful is if you spend the time before school actually opens to, walk the route or do the public transportation route to school with your kid, so that your kid, it's like, say, what are you most nervous about the new school? Well, I don't know if I'll be able to find my way there. So you as a parent can actually ease that a lot and ease your own anxiety. It's like if your kid's riding their bike to school, ride with them before school starts. Whatever traffic rules you want to instill in your kid on that route, make sure that you're there before they're doing it by themselves. That's an obvious one. A lot of schools will have an orientation, which is great, and it should be for parents as well, so that the kid starts to feel comfortable from day one, if not earlier, to know the layout of the school, to know where the lockers are, to walk the schedule of the day for the classes. All those things are great because those are the physical things that the kid will have to do every single day to feel more at home at this new school.
That is great. That's definitely great. My mother, who's been in the school system for 30 years, always preaches that to me because that's like one of the things I don't really like. I kind of dread it because my kids go to a really popular school in the area and it's always packed. The orientation is like thousands of people. You can't move. It's just kind of like a logistical headache. But, she did teach me the benefit of two parents being there with your kids, going through that routine, going to teacher, for those teachers to meet both parents in the household. You get a kind of a vibe from a teacher. And the most important thing, if your kid has a different perception of that teacher, you've seen the teacher as a parent, you say, well, I don't know if that's actually the case. Remember we met her at orientation. Maybe she had a bad day. Maybe it wasn't, what you thought it was. And you wouldn't get that information unless you took part of those orientations and really walked those hallways and met everyone in the building, from the lunch lady to the bus driver to the principals, assistant principals, custodians. You touch hands with everyone. That really does make a powerful difference.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And your kid should touch hands with all those people too, because then those people who are part of the school community day to day, those adults, will get to know your kid. And nothing feels better than walking in and having anybody say to your kid, "Good morning," and call your kid by the "Hi, Sarah, how is it going today?" High five. It's like, okay, I'm not just a little fish in this sea where all these fishes are swimming up the stream here in this crowded hallway. Somebody recognizes me, and that feels welcoming. Right there, somebody smiling at you, making eye contact, calling you by your first name, and saying good morning is a great de-stressor for sure.
And what do you think about fathers attending those orientations? Because sometimes you don't see a lot of dads there. You see a lot of moms, a lot of grandparents, but sometimes the dads can be a little bit sketchy when it comes to coming to those orientations.
Well, then I'd say, get yourself in there. First of all, your sons and your daughters are looking to you as a role model. And if your message is somehow, school's not that important, this is your mom's department. Well, what does that say? You need to be involved. This is your child. And if your message is your education is very important to me, and I'm going to show up, I'm going to show you that I care by coming to those school events, by asking you those questions, by actually understanding what it is that you're learning and giving you opportunities, say, to teach me. A lot of the schools now give, especially in middle school, they give parents the entire syllabus, the curriculum for each of the classes. And so, for example, if as a parent that the unit that your kid is studying is, the solar system, and you have an opportunity to go to a science museum or to watch, last night my husband and I watched the it was a film from the late 90s, 97, called Contact, about search for extraterrestrial intelligence. It was awesome to watch that old movie. There are so many opportunities that as a family you could tap into the things that your kids are studying right now, but you can only do that as a mom or as a dad if you make yourself aware of what's going on in the school. So don't be shy. I know it can be hard if you didn't have the most positive experience with school yourself, but this is your kid, and you have a chance to be a really positive role model here. So get yourself to the school.
So I want to go a little bit deeper on that, because that is an issue, for parents who may have went to college, or parents who are, highly educated. What about those parents where education was not a success for them? Those parents where maybe they dropped out of school in 8th grade or 9th grade, and they would just have this trauma that's around attending school. How can those parents change that culture within their family and kind of get themselves out there? Because a lot of times you see those parents not show up based upon the trauma that they experienced during their age.
Yeah, I know. And all the studies show that kids that don't have that kind of positive reinforcement at home, that school is important, are the ones who have the most challenges succeeding in school themselves. And so if you want to break the cycle there, you need to let your kid know from your own experience, yes, I dropped out, and this is how it affected me. I had fewer choices. The paths that I had open to me were fewer than they would have been if I had stayed in school. And if you come from that personal experience, I think you can really make an impact on your kid. And then you just need to get over, that was then, this is now. If you want things different for your kid, then you really need to walk the walk. You can't just say, well, it's important to stay in school, kid. That's not going to do it. You've had an experience, and your experience showed you that maybe it wasn't the best choice for you. And we're not assigning blame to why you dropped out or what, but you have the tangible results of that choice. And if you want something different for your kid, then you need to show them that you've learned something that you want to pass on to them. And that is, wasn't the best option. Don't want that for you.
That's an excellent point. Those are some good points those parents really need to follow through on, because, maybe if they weren't successful, there could be some other people in their family could assist, be a mentor, or to go with them to kind of help, yes, bridge that gap.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I mean, you can ask yourself, what do I want for my child? What does success look like? How do you define it? How do you define it? Is it the the fancy car in the driveway? What might it be beyond the material stuff? Yes, we want our kids to have financial security for sure. We all want that. We don't want anybody to worrying about their financial security. But what else might success look like? And are there other people in the family who can model that and who might be able to help out in that way? So the kid says, wow, Uncle Joe not only went to college but graduated from college, and this is look what he's doing now with his life. Look at the choices he made now, which doesn't mean I don't love my dad. I love my dad. But this isn't about that. This is about how I can take the experience of all the adults who care for me in my family and help myself define what kind of life I want for myself.
I think another question would be, how do we help parents who are stressed out during this time of year? Because, you got to go through the whole buying, maybe school uniforms, maybe school clothes, kids being, back on like an extracurricular schedule if they play sports, or if they don't play sports, and their travel arrangement from, this activity to that activity. I think a lot of times we don't necessarily give a lot of attention to it, but there are some parents that get stressed just going back into that process on the front end all over again. Yeah,
well, it's stressful, as we spoke about before, to be back on that schedule. And a lot of kids have an awful lot of things on their schedule. And some of those things require parents chauffeuring them places. It certainly disrupts the more laid-back schedule of the summer where, dinner has to be at a certain time because we've got an after-school thing that we're doing and I've got to go get there, or it's dinner is delayed because I'm late coming home. And then you interweave that with a parent's work schedule, and it's as if everybody's coming and going and nobody's actually sitting down and being with each other. And there's a loss there that we don't have those connecting times. And moving back into it, it's like, you're feeling kind of like already we're fragmented as a family. And, that's on top of just getting people out the door and back home and, at the right time. So, it's a good time to take a slow, deep breath. It's a good time to make a family schedule where everybody has all the pieces of information that they know about, and make this, general schedule. You can either, I'm old school in that I really like lists and I like things on paper, but man, there's enough software that anybody could, put it on a computer and make it really easy because things need to get switched around often. But I think it's really important to put whatever you've created in some kind of public access place so that we can all say, okay, it's Sunday afternoon now. Let's just take a peek ahead at the week for the family, and find those times. Okay, this is where I need to pick you up at school a little later. So you're going to get a heads up. Kids and parents are often very flexible, said, when we know what to expect. We can't know what to expect all the time because life will always throw us curveballs. But the more we are kind of primed for what's going to happen on Tuesday afternoon, the more in control we feel. There's the dentist appointment. There's, the soccer practice. There's the school report that needs to be finished. So you take a look on Sunday at what's ahead, and everybody kind of knows, okay, I got it. I know what's going to come. And then everybody sits down and says, how can I help you with what you need to do on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday? And that's the teamwork. And I really think when we all work together, and we have each other's backs in that way, that relieves a lot of the stress, because it's not just me. It's not just me doing all of this stuff. I can count on the rest of the family to help out. And it really does help to know that. So get that schedule, look at it, review it at, a week in advance. And yeah, there are going to be changes. Talk about those changes when they happen.
I think that's an excellent idea. We do that in my house as well, especially with my travel schedule. If you're a parent, if you have to travel a lot, put those travel dates on the schedule so the kids know, okay, on Thursday, mommy's out of town, or on Friday, daddy's out of town, which means I have to change my schedule a little bit. And you're right. We always do it on that Sunday so that everybody can prepare mentally how the week is going to flow so that you can make those adjustments. Exactly.
And when you are on the road traveling, it's easier now than ever to do FaceTime with your kid. Then, if you're used to checking in with them and you're not at the dinner table, but you're, in Milwaukee, do your check-in over the phone, over Skype, and the kid feels they've touched base with you and they're more grounded because of it.
Any other tips for parents, Annie?
Yeah. This is a really great time to just sit down as if you were thinking about improving your business. We've got peer reviews in business. We've got a year-end review. It's like sometimes parents wait till January to kind of reassess how the school year is going. I'm more of a fan of using the time right before school starts, like at the end of the summer or at the very, very beginning of the school year, to have a sit down and saying, last year, well, you had a lot of successes, and props to you for that. You got much more independent doing your homework. You were much better able to manage how much TV and screen time you did. So props to the kid for becoming more independent, as he or she will each year. And there have to be times where you say, this aspect of being a student, which is your number one job.
Yeah.
You got feedback from your teacher and my own observation. And, let's be honest, sweetheart. I know that there were times you were disappointed in your own performance. Let's nail down what it was that was causing problems. And let's see what we as a family can do to help you do better this coming school year. So praise the successes, absolutely build on the successes, but don't repeat the mistakes. And that it's not just the kid. Give the kid an opportunity. And a lot of parents don't want to do this, but to say to the kid, what did I do last year that wasn't so helpful when it came to getting you to school, or, getting lunch ready, or doing the laundry, or those things that help you succeed in school? How can I do a better job? And then close your mouth, parents, and let the kid tell you. Say, Mom, here's one. On Tuesdays after basketball practice, you're supposed to be there at 4:45. And most of the time you weren't there until 5 or later. And I didn't like that. It's like, whoa, okay, note taken. I'm gonna do much better picking you up on time. So it works both ways.
And those are such awesome tips because, I have so many friends who are teachers and they get so tired of parents always blaming them for what happens in the classroom and parents not taking accountability for checking in with their kids and making sure their kids are doing their homework or doing what they need to do on the parental end to make sure things go smooth when school starts back?
Absolutely. This is a team effort, and teachers and counselors and parents and school administrators are all on the same team. And the kid is on that team too. And so, pointing fingers and laying blame at someone for, your kid's success or lack of isn't helpful. Everybody's got the same goal. We want to see the kids succeed. And guess what? The kids have that goal too. So the more, especially as kids get older, the more that you can empower them with their own piece of the puzzle, and make sure that you acknowledge the successes you see. One of my favorite phrases is, we're not looking for perfection. We're just looking for progress.
Wow.
And when we look for progress, we will find it. When we look for faults, we'll find it. So that, again, that's that daily or weekly check-in with your kid. Look for the progress, build on the progress. And when things are there's some setbacks, disappointments, don't get all emotional about it. Just listen. Your kid already feels disappointed. They don't need you laying another level of disappointment on top of it. And blaming the teacher is really bad role modeling, because ultimately, who did the work? The work was the kids. So, don't be combative with the teachers. And communicate with the teachers you're concerned, for sure, but get the kid involved in their own learning. And not perfection. None of us is perfect. Just progress. And that's really what the school experience is about. That's what education and lifelong learning is about. It's about progress, setting goals and making progress.
Any final words, Annie?
My final word is, school is what you make it. and it's like, if you've got a positive attitude about school, then your kid will have a positive attitude about school. And so, keep that in mind, and know that learning takes place after the bell rings as well. So the more educational experiences you can bring into your family life in the evenings and on weekends, the more that you help your kids succeed.
I just want to throw in, Annie, I think, Eventbrite is such a great platform for parents, because there's so many educational events that take place in different cities every weekend. They're usually free, or at the most maybe $10 or $15, where you can extend that learning every weekend based upon your child's interests to really help supplement what's going on in the classroom. I don't think a lot of parents take advantage of some of the events that are taking place in their own communities.
That is so true. So very true. There's a lot of online stuff that is very specific to your community, and you can find it. Just Google the name of your community.
Yeah, that's the easiest way.
That is. It's the easiest way.
Well, hey, Annie, thank you so much for being on the show. And where can parents find all your great parenting books, and how can they find your blog?
Just go to anniefox.com, ANNIEFOX.com, and pretty much everything I do is right there.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for being on the show, Annie.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Hey, guys, I really hope you enjoyed that episode with Annie talking about back to school stress. And if you really love these tips that Annie provided, please go to her website, AnnieFox.com. Remember, Annie is an award-winning author. She has millions of books out there on parenting, and her blog is a treasure in and of itself, because it has a kind of like a Dear Abby vibe, where if you're a parent, she takes questions that you may have as far as like stress you're going through as a parent, different things that may be going on with your son, your daughter, sexual things, just communication issues. And she really takes those questions and she answers those as an expert. She does the same thing with kids as well. So I think her blog is just a treasure chest of different problems that, normal people have day to day, with her providing that feedback. So if you don't do anything else, just make sure you take advantage of all the free material and feedback that she has on her blog. And it's with the Digital Parent Podcast. Make sure you go to iTunes and make sure you rate it. Let us know what you think about this podcast with Annie, and hope to see you on the next show. And don't forget, make sure you go to the Udemy course and get our new course on the ultimate guide of using Twitter to land a scholarship for your child. See you next time.